Gugu Xaba, CEO of Save the Children South Africa, joins us now to further unpack these violent crimes against children. Gugu, it's a pleasure to have you with us. So we had this similar conversation at the time, of course, of the gruesome incident, and words still fail me on the brutality as well as inhumane suffering of these children, let alone the girl finally succumbing to her injuries. Now, this as we observe Women's Month that seeks to highlight the strides that have been taken in emancipating women's rights and children's rights. But in this case, it seems that women in question here did not have any way out.
Good afternoon, Alicia, and good afternoon to your listeners. Yes, Alicia, we still are facing the same problem. And I think we should all acknowledge the fact that South Africa has a serious problem. It's a national emergency. It's about time we regard gender-based violence and violence against children as a crisis. And the problem begins in the most safest area where you would expect a child to be safe, which is at home. And when you look at these young people, the mother and the father, and you imagine that they have two children, one that has passed on already and one that has been abused at 2 years old, it tells you that we have a serious problem. And if anyone is not aware of that, then it's about time we change the way we do things. There's a lot of mental health problems that we can pick up. We are also picking up the fact that the substance abuse that is coming from a person that is mentally not well. And we also are dealing with inequality, poverty, but all those are not an excuse to abuse children. Rather, give the children away if you are unable to take care of them. And I must also indicate that in this case, you know that there's gender-based violence that has been long happening even before the children were abused. So we do have a serious problem.
Absolutely, absolutely, Sis Gugu. I mean, GBVF is a pandemic within a pandemic, and as you've rightly put it, a national emergency. Perps are still getting bail. How has the system failed and diluted our family structure in that a man, a father in this instance, can conduct such a heinous act and move on as normal? I mean, we saw the first sitting of the convention the past 2 days, and voices there have, of course, expressed shock at the ongoing violations against women and children. How else are we then supposed to demand justice?
Thank you very much, Alicia. Alicia, the best way we can do this is to us as community members stand up and be very firm. The fact that we still have people that are applying for bail and yet suspected to be abusing, we need to agree that they should just forget until proven guilty or not proven guilty. So as soon as you're accused of anything to do with a child assault, rape, no bail must be discussed. Instead, let's find the facts of the case. Let's give the law time to investigate, and then we can make a decision. One thing that we are seeing is that when people are given bail, they will interfere with the evidence. And so why should we give that bail? So as Save the Children South Africa, we are saying it's about time we consider removing bail to anyone that is accused of raping or assaulting a child. In that way, people, at least the perpetrators, will start thinking twice before they do it.
I mean, there's long been calls to do this, even from the president himself, Sis Gugu. I mean, because these offenders very often actually go out on bail and recommit similar crimes. Now, according to a UNICEF report last year, Gugu, shockingly, more than 3 children and 10 women were murdered daily in South Africa between July and September of 2024. Another 3 survived attempted murder, while 21 further suffered grievous bodily harm. I mean, I attend a lot of these GBVF campaigns as well as solution-focused gatherings as a way to gauge where the lack of response is. And let me tell you, Sis Gugu, it sounds like the presentations come come from a single book and the same script, because the problems are so similar. Whichever area you go to, it's always underreporting, police ill-equipped or reluctant to act, to poverty, as well as persistent social inequality, drugs, and so on, that is blamed on the skirt. So it is bigger than just society at this stage.
Alicia, yes, we can say it's bigger than society. But if you look at the fact that you have a child that is taken care of by a parent in a homestead or community or in a school, it means we have a primary platform, which is the home, and we need to do something about the people that are in that particular home. Because when we have to deal with it at a community level, that's when it becomes even bigger. If the child cannot be safe in their own home, it means we have one family disorganization beyond, understanding. And the other thing, we've got parents that care less. Remember, 10 years ago, we used to say South Africa is ignoring the violence, and the violence has grown to an even higher level, but still the primary source is the family. So it's about time that parents did things differently so that communities can help them. For instance, the mother of these children that we're talking about right now, if only they had stood firm on the violence that was being meted on them, at least we could have dealt with that violence before it gets to the children. And we saw the child neglect, because from what we are seeing, the mother and the father are exposed to substance abuse. And this means the children were neglected already. And what did we do about it? And taking it at a community level, Alicia, Save the Children believes it will be too far. We need to go back to the family unit and make sure that family units are safer than what they are right now.
Absolutely. And Gugu, I was just saying when this incident was first reported, I suppose the young girl was still in hospital, that we might actually find during the course of the investigation that the mother herself was even scared to leave because of either her socioeconomic conditions or because of the fact that she was also subjected to more violence or threatened, that should she report these incidents herself, she could put herself as well in danger. But let's talk about it in broader context then, Sis Gugu. I mean, how important is it then for government to actually intensely collaborate with organizations on the ground that government cannot reach, like yourselves and others, who can actually expedite on some of these challenges where government cannot get to speedily? The consensus from these organizations is the slow pace of reaction, or even recognition or communication and funding for their efforts. And this also exacerbates the problem even further, especially in your areas like your villages, your crime-ridden hotspot areas where violence and drug abuse is normalized due to the socio-economic challenges they have no control over.
Alicia, all agreed. Look, we have had reports of community-based organizations that are not funded, and yet they could help in preventing violence from occurring or identifying it as early as possible. So the fact that some departments like social development is understanding, and yet community-based organizations are not funded, that tells you that we do have a systematic problem that we should improve on or make sure that we fix, because this has been a complaint for more than 5 years now, but nothing has been done about it. And community-based organizations are very willing to support, but if the government system is not supporting them, how do we expect them to survive? So it is about time that we respond and make sure that we've got a stronger child protection system within our communities. Then the other thing, social development, it does have, for instance, social assistants, social work assistants that are unemployed, and yet their budget is not used to the maximum. That tells you that there's leadership and management problems within social development, because if you've got shortage of staff and you are underspending, it means you need to do something about it, and you're not doing something about it. So we do have a systematic problem. Yes, within communities, we can do something about it. But now it means we need to start by fixing the system in order to support community members and family members. In that way, we can make a difference.
I mean, Sis Gugu, maybe let's further expand on that. When should the community as well as guardians or parents raise the alarm when they are witnessing some family members or children actually being subjected to such abuse in their homes? I mean, we've seen in the matter of Jocelyn Smith, who's still missing. We've seen, of course, also in the Jaden Meek matter, but there's so much more cases that we can make reference to, Sis Gugu.
Alicia, we do have a documentation on the Children's Act that says if you suspect neglect of a child or abuse of a child, you have a responsibility to report. Whether you are a neighbor, whether you are part of the family, or you are in the school, a teacher, a principal, or you are in the church, you have a responsibility to report. So our communities have been informed many a times that suspicion is enough for you to report. Now, the problem that we find, communities feel like the police or social development is not responsive. So what's the use of even reporting? Because no one does anything about it. So that's where we have a problem. And once suspicion has been reported, an investigation must be done in order to ensure that we can confirm the truth of what has been reported. And the person that has reported will be protected. What we will do now is to make sure that we check the facts of the case so that we can be able to protect the child. So it's important that community members, wherever they are, they continue to report. Yes, the system must be fixed in order for us to at least prevent the worst from occurring. Thank you.
So let's be nosy neighbors indeed in this regard. Sis Gugu, thank you so much for your input. As always, Gugu Xaba is the CEO of Save the Children, as of course we continue looking at the ongoing issues affecting children who are victims of heinous crimes and abuse, while perps can just apply for bail.